Have you ever wondered why you start something new and then in about 2 to 3 weeks, your excitement has lost its luster and you suddenly don't even know why you wanted the change anymore? Or maybe you weren't even aware that you'd already given up and reverted back to the old way of doing things. You may be feeling that way right now. Are you finding reasons why you don't have time to do this program? Whether it's staying engaged in this program or staying on a diet, holding yourself accountable to exercising, clearing out unnecessary clutter, or even quitting smoking. Anytime you begin something new, at some point, usually within a week or two, there comes a point when you feel like quitting. No matter how many good reasons there are for you to keep going, you begin to justify all the reasons why it makes sense for you to give up. Some of the excuses sound like my health isn't really that bad, or I can't afford to change careers right now. I don't have time for this program. My life was fine the way it was, right? When you give up on making any sort of change in your life, it often feels like you failed. You beat yourself up. You feel ashamed and defeated. Well, I'm here to tell you it isn't your fault. So here's what you need to know. Our unconscious mind is naturally programmed to prevent us from changing. Its primary job is to protect us from harm and keep us alive. It also keeps our heart beating, our lungs pumping. And when it catches on that we're trying to do something that's out of the norm, it automatically perceives that change as a potential threat to our survival, even if the change is good for us. So, whatever you decide to make any kind of change in your life, you kick off a 4 phase process that's inevitable to go through. And once you understand each phase of the process, you can skyrocket your chances of becoming successful and reaching your desired goals. The process is called the evolution of growth because every time we make a decision to change, to be better, we're growing to another level of greatness. Each phase is essential in the process of creating lasting change, and it's impossible to skip a phase. The beginning phase is called the excitement phase. And during this phase, you're excited and confident about trying something new, and you're super motivated and ready to take action. You usually have a well thought out plan, right? And you're fully committed to reaching your new goal, no matter what obstacles may show up. You feel excited and unstoppable. You're unconsciously incompetent. You don't know what you don't know. You can only see the upside to this new change, and you're only focused on the end goal. But unfortunately, the excitement phase can't last forever. And in fact, you don't want it to, because not long after you start making your new change, the excitement fades. You start losing your motivation to keep going, and you slip right into the doubt phase. You are now consciously incompetent. You are realizing this change might not be so easy, and you're starting to doubt your ability to make the necessary changes. In this phase, your unconscious mind begins to create some resistance because it doesn't like you going off and disrupting the status quo. It will trick you into believing that you really didn't want to make that change anyway. The great thing about this phase is that it's showing you that you are in the process of growing. Because if you stayed in the excitement phase and never hit resistance, it would just mean that you're staying the same. Because during the doubt phase, you'll find yourself making all sorts of excuses and justifications as to why you should quit. Your unconscious mind works very hard to get you to quit what you started. It wants you to go back to your old habits. So understand that the resistance you feel while in the doubt phase is very real, and it's often tough to overcome. Because remember, most of the time, you don't even know it's happening. It's unconscious. But this is the period where you have the greatest opportunity to learn, grow, and get stronger. It can feel like you're in a battle against yourself that requires a lot of strength, courage, and determination to overcome the resistance. Think of it like a tug of war, where your old habits and patterns are pulling with all their might against the new actions and behaviors you're implementing. Depending upon how deeply ingrained your old habits are, it can be very difficult to get to a point where you've achieved the transformation you're looking for. So the doubt phase usually happens about 2 to 3 weeks into starting something new. You may feel it right now with this program. And rest assured, if you're not feeling it now, you will in the next couple of weeks. And that's a good thing because the doubt phase is the most important phase. It builds the mental and psychological muscles needed to be successful in reaching your goals. and maintaining them for the long term. Every time you ignore the voice in your head that's telling you to just quit, you're instructing your unconscious mind that you're committed to changing. And that's when the change begins to happen. The doubt phase is a time to celebrate because what you're doing is working and you're exactly where you need to be. During this phase, it's imperative to stay focused on your goal and to connect with all the emotional reasons why you wanted to make the change in the first place. Consider how it will make you feel when you eventually reach your goal, or how it will make you feel if you don't. So the third phase is the determination phase. You are now consciously competent. You know what you have to do, but it still requires you to make a conscious decision every time you encounter that resistance that's trying to hold you back. And then you need to push through the doubt phase, following through with your new actions and habits. In this phase, you'll probably notice that the changes you're making are becoming a little easier, and they don't require as much effort, but they haven't become automatic yet. They haven't become second nature. The determination phase is a transitional phase, which means you'll either continue to stay consistent with your new actions and move on to the next phase, or you'll lose your consistency and fall right back in the doubt phase and potentially give up altogether. The final phase is the accomplishment phase. You're unconsciously competent. The new actions are second nature to you. They are part of your identity, and you feel a sense of pride and accomplishment when you reach your goal. You set out to improve your life in some way. You stayed the course when your brain started to push back. You followed through on your new actions and habits, and eventually the results you wanted to see became automatic and a part of the new you. Being aware of how you're feeling during each phase will help you to understand what phase you're in, right? And it will help you to move through to the next phase. Let's use the example of learning how to drive a car. You're 15 years old. You are so excited. It means everything to you to be a driver. It means freedom, time away from your parents, right? So many amazing things we associated with learning how to drive a car. And so we started that excitement phase and we just knew we were going to be a driver. We focused on the end. We were unconsciously incompetent. We had no idea how hard it was going to be. We just looked at grandma can drive. We see all these people, everyone drives. It's going to be easy. Until we took that first time we practiced, right? Hand on 10 and 2. It was so hard. You didn't want to change lanes. Oh, God forbid, you're going to try to get off on, the highway. All the doubt started coming in. You moved into that doubt phase because you were consciously incompetent. It was hard. Like, oh my God, I'm never going to be a driver. I'm going to be the only kid in the world that is not a driver. This is awful. I am dumb. All the negative self-talk came in, but you were determined. You were going to be a driver. So you moved into the determination phase and you kept practicing until it became second nature and you accomplished it. The final phase, you are a driver, right? And it still took a while to get to that unconscious competence. The way that we drive now, one hand on the wheel, sometimes one knee on the wheel, sometimes eating a sandwich, sometimes looking at your phone, all of those things. How many of you have gotten into your driveway and thought, how did I get here? That's unconscious competence. That's what happens when you go through the phase, when you are determined to achieve something new in your life. Focus on the phases. So remember, if you started something new and never hit the doubt phase, it would mean you weren't really changing, that you're playing it safe by staying in your comfort zone. And either the goal you set for yourself isn't high enough, or you've decided that you won't reach it. Just like any other form of training or exercise, there comes a time when you feel the burn and the workout may seem to be hurting more than helping. If you're feeling resistance and you're wanting to quit, just keep going. Trust me, don't stop. You got this.